For this final session, we thought a little bit about how we're going to do it. And in principle, we should have a pause, like a 10, 15 minutes pause before we go to the final. But why do that when we still have all the energy, even though it feels like we are all conference fatigue? I think we could just, are we okay with just continuing? Okay. Doesn't mean that we would end early, huh? We're still going to end on time. We're just going to move right into it. Why not? When we have all the energy, right? Supposedly. Okay. So thank you. What to do with this 1 hour that we have left together? How are we going to spend it so that we can go out of here and feeling that we really have made good use of our time here, and that we have something to continue to look forward to. I already told you, right, that we only meet every 4 years, but those are many, many, many months in between, many days in between. Doesn't mean that you cannot meet every 2 years or even more frequently in all corners of the continent as you like. But since we're here together, this is our pretty much the last chance to put our, again, best thinking hat on and see if we can take this just another step further. So we heard a lot of really good, lots of good conversation that had taken place in these 3 days. We got a lot of, really more stimulating topics discussion. We spent time even thinking about what we want, the future that for the small-scale fisheries, whether the one that small-scale fishing people themselves are talking about, or people who are supportive of small-scale fishery would like to see. So this is action time. So only when you put it on the paper, what you think we should be doing next in order to achieve those future that we want for small-scale fisheries, nothing would happen, right? So this is a challenge to all of us here now. If we can put something on paper, then that is a very first important step towards realization that future. Are we in agreement with this? Yes? Okay? Are we in agreement that we want to put something? Well, thank you. Okay, well, how to do that? Because there's so many of us here. So I think one way to do this is to think about, there are so many communities out here in terms of perspective. We have fishers, we have real, community people. Fishers community, you know who you are. You can kind of get together and think about this from the fishers, fisherwomen, community perspective. What would be some of those things that we need to do now? And like you can have it now, you can have it in the near future to get us to the future we want. I would like to also invite, maybe, I think there's a lot of NGOs or e-NGOs, the World Wildlife Fund and many other organizations that are supportive, including civil society organizations that are supportive of small-scale fisheries, working closely with them. You are another community here. So from your perspective, what you think we need to do in order to get there? I know that we also have some government policy people, decision-making body that are in charge or responsible for supporting small-scale fisheries to make them sustainable and viable. It would be great if you can also get together as the policy government community to think about what we need to do to achieve the future for small-scale fisheries. And the final group will be the research community. So it would be great if the research community would also get together and talk about this. So we'll spend about 10, 15 minutes in each group, and then we would share what we are thinking about. So I need 4 volunteers. Uh-huh. The flip chart papers would go to you. Okay, maybe this is first. I need people to stand up and identify yourself, which community you want to be part of the discussion. So I see that there's a lot of fisherwomen there. Yes, is that where you want to be to discuss? So could you please stand up? The fishers community. Thank you. Now, who wants to join the fishers community? Stay in that corner and work on it. Tracy, you think, could you mind facilitating that and capture some notes for us? Excellent. So that group, super organized. Thank you. And what about the ENGO CSO group? Where would you like? Thank you, Alu. We must have more of them. Anybody else would like to join? Thank you. The ENGOs, NGO, CSO type cannot just be 2. You are everywhere. Where's the panda? Now that we need you. The panda's gone from this room. Well, please join the CSO, NGO. Well, move. If you're going to do it, move, because we don't have a lot of time. We're removing you from the program partnership if you don't do this, eh? Okay? 1 only? Well, you self-identify, right? Now, policy government. I see Minister. Sorry, put you on the spot here. Would you like to do that? We need, Albert, you stand up and let's see. Anybody else? Because if the rest, sorry? Government group. Yes, you go there, government group. Yeah, we put government in another corner so that you can say whatever you want. But then you have to come back and tell us, yes? So government over there, please. Over there. Excellent. So, Fisher Group, ENGO Group, government. So, come on, get up. Move. It's good to move around a little bit. You don't have to be government to be there, by the way. You just have to go say, from the policy perspective, this is what we should do next. From the fishers people perspective, this is what we need to do next. From the conservation ENGO perspective, this is what to do next. The rest of you, how about going into that corner there where Nafo is sitting? Yes? Okay. Researchers, this is your chance. Put a proposal together. We can do that in 10 minutes always, right? Let's write the proposal and get funding to support small-scale fisheries. Over there.
Alida suggested a separate one for students and youth, if there are any here. A separate group for
Ah.
students and youth.
Okay, group number 5. Wait. Group number 5 would be the perspective from youth, students, early career scientists.
That's right.
Aha.
Right here, we'll bring you some paper.
Right here. So if you feel like, you want to be part of the voice from the youth, yes? The early career scientist
Where's
youth
Isaac?
voice. Isaac will facilitate the youth right here in this front table. And you can be as loud, as creative, and we'll go and tell you how much time you have left to wrap up, okay?
It's over there with Alida, yep. Thank you so much. They're fine? Good.
How do we join from online, please? How do we join from online, please?
Online participants, I'm gonna make all of you panelists, so that way you can just chat with each other. So just get together and have your chat, and then we'll ask you to report back as well. In
Thank
your
you.
case, we cannot separate you, but you can be the multi-sector group. How about that?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Faluka, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Perfect. This is what I'm trying to suggest, right? That all the virtual participants, you can definitely turn on your microphone and video and just have a chat.
Okay. Hello, Cornelia. Nice to have you here and to see you here again.
I really enjoyed the conference very much. A
Thank
lot of wonderful discussions. And I think this is really the most important, isn't it? To think, okay, what next?
Yes.
Because we did see some documentation or some reporting about some advances, but there are still lots of stumbling blocks. So I think what we need to think of is where do we get the biggest leverage to, because everybody's energy is limited. You can
Yes.
do so much. And I think one of the things I've taken away, one of the key things I've taken away, I would say, at the from the Malta conference was really the conversation we had about, what are the good examples and what does make the difference. I mean, we collected some keywords. What did make the difference for the successful change journeys? And I think the one keyword that struck me most in a way was when somebody said, this is really passionate people. Because yes, we need a lot more collective action and so on. But behind all initiatives, there are one or more passionate people who sort of are the soul of the thing. And if we strengthen those and allow new ones to emerge, I think that is at least one of the elements to allow us to keep moving forward. So how do we do that? Well, we're trying with this inclusive, active adult learning in the Small Scale Fisheries Academy, which is of course not brick and mortar, but it's really all about being people-centered and creating the space where those who have not had a chance to express themselves very much can have time, have a secure pace, be respected for who they are without judgment, no judgment, everybody's welcome. And where if you create that space and so cut short, the long working hours of the men and the women, but particularly of the women, and invite them to think about what it is they dream about, what it is that matters most for them and their family and their community. And do that perhaps with drawings if they are illiterate, so that there is no stumbling block. In addition, drawings are very conceptual. They don't require a lot of words.
Mm-hmm.
So long as, you create some understanding and on the meaning of what you want to express.
Mm-hmm.
and take a number of other precautions, as we also heard from Namibia and elsewhere, to put people at ease. So use local language if they're not happy or very fluent or let's say relaxed in English or French or Spanish or whatever the big international languages are. And a number of things that really create that environment where they can blossom.
Yes.
And you celebrate local culture. You at the same time it builds up some of the self-confidence that you need to step forward. But also in a way that does not put anybody at risk, but where you move forward as a group, because as a group you are strong.
Yes.
As an individual, you can be at high risk.
No, you can.
So I mean, of course, you welcome also the traditional leaders or, whoever has important roles in the community. But because even as a facilitator, even as somebody who is perhaps supporting the community from outside, in a way, you look eye to eye and there is no hierarchy. That my knowledge is more valuable than your knowledge. Now we listen to each other and try to intensely listen to what the other person is trying to say and to try and understand that, and little by little understand each other better and focus on, okay, what's doable? Where are the obstacles? Where are allies? Where are enhancing conditions or people that will help, etc., so that whoever works together in the academy can advance. And it may not be the same type of advancement. Yes. People can take away different things because they may come in from different angles. But and what you see is also potentially new types of leadership arising, because nothing is sweeter than success. So if you see something works, you don't have to do big speeches. People see it works. Okay, let's have more of that. I think those sort of approaches are very useful wherever you are, because it can be an FAO project, it can be an administration. And, if you think of things from, let's say, starting from what you want to achieve, so it focuses your mind in terms of, okay, next step. So actually, almost more than writing additional papers, I would argue for trying out a few of those things, building on good cases that have been reported throughout this conference, throughout other conferences. And because some things work in one place and they may not exactly work the same way in another place. The principles may still apply, but it may require different types of adaptations to fit the local bill. And so I think what we need is practice more than, of course, and it's dialogue practice and so on, but, it's really doing it.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, I've talked too much already.
No. I was taking notes so that I'm just going to report all that you have said. so that it's engaging, so that we know that, okay, online, we had some good discussions, because it's important to know what next. And when you are speaking about inclusive active adult learning in SSF Academy, what came to my mind again is the issue of mentorship, because that is very important. If we have strategic mentoring program in place, then new leaders can emerge through that. And then talents can be enhanced, can be helped to function better. That came to me as you were speaking. And so it will be the last thing that I will mention after I've read out all the good insights coming from experience that you have given today. I was actually writing. So I will just tell them that Cornelia gave some insights that were good, and I will report them and then end with the need for mentorship, whether we can have people who want to be to have mentees, to if you agree with that, for our submission. Because all that you have said will work for any of the group, the government group, the women group, the youth, the researchers, and everybody. It will work for everyone.
And what I would perhaps add in the direction of the researchers is the importance, and I think it was already mentioned by somebody else in one of the sessions I attended. It's like, you don't extract only data and information, you also bring it back. Because say, if you do a survey, you interview lots of people, etc., but at the end of your thing, you do not only do an academic paper, but you go back and report and have it validated. And because it can then be a crystallizing point to say, okay, this is what we found, that there are commonalities or there are specificities and this or that. I mean, the hygiene question, when the women have no toilets and they get health problems afterwards because there is no way they can go, cannot go to the mosque because it's only the men, and, all kinds of this. Now, this goes on for years. Why can the municipality not build a few toilets for the women? For heaven's sake. They build huge infrastructure, they expel them from good places into squalid ones to make space for all kinds of other infrastructure. I hear that all over the place, there is things to be done, but now I lost what I wanted to say. Yes, to go back. So the report has, let's say, this feature has come out of another little local study to assess what the needs of the women were. Then come back, report about it, and then create, say, offer a workshop to help, where the women then can discuss, and whoever else is involved can discuss, okay, what do we do with the findings of the research? What leverage does it give us to do certain things to address the issues that have been identified? You see, not just throw up our hands in despair, everything is bad, because no, there are things to be done.
Yes. I agree with that. Yeah. I agree totally with that. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
We are ready if you are ready.
Okay. I'm just going to my table because it's dinner time this side of the world.
Okay.
Yeah. So I also want to add my views.
Okay. Who is on the line, please? I can't get your name.
It's Helen.
Helen, okay, Helen.
Yes,
Okay.
it's Helen, and I also want to add my 102 line
Okay.
in terms of the recommendation. Let me start with the gender,
Okay.
the gender issues.
Okay.
I think they are doing a great job, the women. We need to give them practical solutions. If that is the smoking kills, they need, let networks, let TBTI and other partners give them that. Let us open doors for them. If it's what they need, let us give them. The issue of SPS, they are also important because they continue to remain where they are because of that obstacle.
Yes.
For as long as they don't address it, we'll continue to say the same things time and again. But let the practitioners give them the opportunity and take them. The issue of mentorship or technical partner, take them through the steps to improve from point A to point B. I think we'll see our women moving forward. I think they are doing a great job, to be honest. But we just need to move them a step higher for them to taste the money that is there in the formal sector. That is one. So capacity buildings for them is key. Another thing, capacity buildings in organizational skills. This Outfishnet is excellent. However, they've got their own also issues in terms of the strategic planning, the leadership skills, the negotiations, the advocacy. I think we also need to capacitate them. We are all learning. I'm also learning.
Yes, like me.
Yes, we need to learn together to see how we can run these things so that they do not collapse. Already they are doing excellent job even without partners, without us, AU, IBA, without FAO. They are able to mobilize resources elsewhere, which is excellent, but managing the resources for what it intended to be, it is key for all the women in Africa. It is key. We also need to mobilize resources to get more women on board. Because at the moment, you find that the bureau members are the mostly exposed ones. But what about those ones in the villages? We need to mobilize and have these sessions where we just listen about the issues of women. Then going to the general on the continent, I will say we have the frameworks. They are there, they are in place. We are implementing them and we are liaising with the member states to implement them. We just have to make more noise about them so that people are aware of their objectives and they are able to implement them. So we have a framework already. So any intervention should be guided by the decisions or the vision of Africa's people or Africans. That is the.
Thank
Then,
you. Okay, yeah, enough.
Yes, then the issue of illuminating hidden harvest.
Okay, yes.
It has also helped us to get more information about women, about small-scale fisheries in Africa, but it was also exposed us to the fact that we do not have data on women.
Okay.
So I don't know if there will be a way in which they can pump more funding in Africa to see whether they can be able to study all these 55 African states. If there's a possibility to do that, because it is through the studies that we are able to take the recommendations and tell our policymakers that, hey, this is the story. This is how small-scale fisheries is valued. This is the potential of the sector. Let us support it.
Okay.
And what else? Yeah, let me stop. And also, we have strong civil society organizations
Yeah.
in fisheries sector. There are so many. There are so many. In one country, you can have 10. Even on the continent, we have one that AU IBA facilitated, which is called AfriFishNet. AfriFishNet needs to be taken on board, to form part of the discussions, because they are supposed to represent the views of the other small-scale actors that are involved in the non-state actor activities. Yeah, so let me stop there. Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt. I hope you can hear me. We are just trying to get every group to wrap up. So just please summarize and wrap up if you don't mind. Good to see you, Cornelia. Thank you so much for staying really strong here and supportive.
Yes, she's giving us so much insights on this online, and I'm going to report everything is our turn.
Good conference, so it was a pure pleasure.
Yeah.
You have been I've seen you in every session, which is amazing. Thank you. Okay, and then somebody would do the report out, please, and we'll put you up on the screen. Okay.
Thank you. Nice to see you again. We wait until they take us to the main group. I don't know if I can get it typed before then. I want to see if I can do it.
Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm sure you'll do it all right. So,
yes, I will just speak to it. Thank you. Thank you for that encouragement.
my pleasure. And thanks also to Helen, because I think she's mentioned a few very important points.
Yes, she did. She did.
In terms of to be strategic and how to connect local initiatives to these continent-wide challenges, which are not trivial, really. Yes. But I think the more groups manage to develop activities at the local level, that is where ordinary people take their daily decisions.
Yes.
And so if, thanks to the systematic work of the African Union and IBAR and, OFFISHNet and so on, there is an evolving, more positive policy environment. It will be very good but this connection needs to be there, because neither in isolation will manage to get things done. Because we know that there is a lot of implementation gap, and it's part of the government, but also people do some of them.
We don't have a lot of time left.
Yeah.
So perhaps we should. I know it's exciting because we got now 5 groups plus 1 group on Zoom.
Yes.
Yes, so our virtual participant as well.
Yes.
Now, who wants to start? Who wants to start?
I can.
The online?
If you want.
You want?
Yes. Can
government, listen. Who wants to start? Then government said, we go first. Is that okay that government should go first?
Leading by example. We're going to lead by example.
Online.
You want more power? Is that what it is?
Online wanted to go first.
Okay, online go first. Faluke, you go first.
Okay, thank you.
Let's pay attention to Faluke. Online first, on the screen in front of you, right there, look. Powerful woman. Go ahead, Faluke.
Thank you very much. We were 3 online participants, Cornelia, Helen, and myself. And what Cornelia has many good insights that she gave to us, and the issues that we discussed are what next? Where do we get the biggest leverage out of this conference? The key things, what are the good examples? What did make the difference? And so there's the need to get those who are passionate people as the soul of whatever we're going to do next. And we need to have more collective action, inclusive, active adult learning in SSS academy. where people will be, where people as the center of whatever is happening, creating space for those who have no voice to speak without having judgment to anyone. So we need to cut short the long hours of the women so that we can ask them what their dreams are, what is important to them, and then use conceptual drawings to bring out what they are saying so that they will know that they are part of what we want to do for them. And then we should put people at ease by the use of local languages in relating to them, create an environment for small-scale fisheries to blossom, celebrate the people, build their self-confidence so that they can move forward as a group, not as individuals. Because if an individual will not achieve much than what a group will achieve, we need new types of leadership arising from SSF so that the approaches will change. We welcome the traditional rulers, but at the same time, there should be no hierarchy in knowledge. Everybody has knowledge to share at each time. So we need to remove this obstacle, put in practices, dialogue practices. Researchers must know that they should go back to validate their findings so that the people that we know that they have not just been interviewed and left there. When you report back the findings, then you can go forward and crystallize their points and move to the next thing. Also, we've talked about mentorship and little things. Why not do little things for women? For example, build toilets for them. That was one point that came on, little things that researchers could look for funding to do for these women to improve their lots, not just throw our hands that everything is bad. There are some good things that we can leverage on. The agenda issue needs practical solutions. TBTI, FAO, AUI back and give smoking kings, open doors for the women, sanitary and phytosanitary support, technical partnership with the women, leveraging on international initiatives at the national and local levels so that we have a systemic work involving policy, environment, and the people so that nobody is working in isolation. There is strategic, we need to be strategic to connect the local people to the international initiatives. And
yes.
And these approaches are useful to all the groups, to the government, to the women, to the fishermen, to the researchers, to try out the good cases. Let's upscale the good cases and see what we can do and get from them. And from there,
Perfect.
we can have,
Thank you.
And the issue of disaggregated data is important to be able to know the contribution of women in the SSF space. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All righty. Thank you. Thanks very much. Okay, big round of applause for the online participants. Thank you. It was hard to do this, but you did well. Next, who wants to go next? Who wants to go next? Who wants to go next? You? Youth? Excellent. Thank you. Youth goes next. Sorry, are you youth? There's a question about you first. Yes. Don't doubt. Go ahead, youth. Youth in mind, young at heart. Okay, let's go.
Thank you very much. Welcome to our presentation. My name is Imboye Sande. I'm representing the youths and the upcoming researchers. Our concern that we'd love to see next time we have a similar congress like this one is to have a deliberate program for the upcoming researchers and the youth so that they expose themselves to what they are doing and critics are made. And then secondly, we also would love to see a situation whereby there's a deliberate program from among these big institutions that can provide resources, finances to help upcoming researchers. And also even funding to do research. Other than that, we also realize that if there can be a deliberate program for the same institution to expose their areas of interest so that upcoming researchers can take up the challenge. Another thing that we would want to see next time is a situation whereby a deliberate program for networking and collaboration is made so that there's that easy transfer of information from among the upcoming researchers.
That's great. Thank you. Is that it? Yes? I saw the list.
Thank you. I think this is what.
Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you. Excellent. Who's next? Who's next? Now they see, they stop raising their hand. Who's next? Have I ignored them long enough? Who's next? Tracy, the fishing people group?
Yes. Firstly, I must apologize to my group for telling them to be quiet because everybody was so excited and they all wanted to speak at the same time. So yeah, sorry guys. So we kind of categorized. No, it's fine. Yeah, I can see. Do you want to see it? Oh, but then I also need it. Okay, so we've kind of categorized the different sections that people felt was important within communities. So the one thing was funding. This is not in a particular order. This is just in a particular, it's just as we were brainstorming. Funding, the networks, looking at health and environment, collaboration and cooperation, skills and education, information management, I didn't finish that, women, youth, and then rights, right? So under funding, we were looking at where should the investment go into. So all this refers to small-scale fishing communities, as was the brief of the group. So I didn't write it there, but it, just understand that. The development of infrastructure, localized, so that small-scale fishing communities would be able to create a processing environment, okay, at a local level. Funding for technology and the training of, that's a different section, for the developments and of markets, localized markets. And then a suggestion was the development of community-based banks to channel funding that comes from higher levels of funding, which means, okay, I'll get to the participatory part now. Then, in terms of networks, we should start utilizing already existing networks so that we don't replicate work that is already being done. And then to expand that into strong provincial, national and provincial chapters. So with this networks, we're talking about a global level or continental, and then developing strong chapters in provincial, national, and local communities. Health and environment, for that, support is needed, and improvement. And with that, we are referring to health and environmental practices that's detrimental to the health of fishing communities, as well that is detrimental for the environment. We're talking about people using still wood fire and all of that. The next category we were looking at is collaboration and cooperation. Here we were referring to partnership, multi-level partnerships. This is now between communities, governments, stakeholders, funders, everybody. And that this be a participatory process from the get-go. And then also under collaboration and cooperation, specifically referring to the continent, is cross-border access without having trouble at the border. If you want to go sell your goods, if you market your things, okay? Then a section looking at education and skills development. In education and skills, we are referring to both informal and formal learning, which is as important as the other one. The development of skills programs and training programs for local communities, and then also starting from an early age, people referring to already starting this at school level into the education system, as well as to the informal system. Information management, Yeah, firstly, we're referring to communication blocks to be open. A lot of information is not filtering through to communities, and we need to find out what the blockages are and how we can open it. Then, in order to do the work, we need proper mapping, we need documentation, we need stakeholder analysis, and also an important is access to free Wi-Fi, because we still need to pay and people can't afford Wi-Fi. Women and youth development, we had a little bit of a debate. We're going to do it together. We're going to separate it. So we kind of, I don't know, we didn't finish the discussion and the debate. But we are looking at leveling the imbalances between men and women in small-scale fishing. And also all of the above. So when we talk about women's development, we also talk about women's development with regards to all of the above. As the same with youth and investment in the youth, as well as investment in women's development, and then also with regards to all of the above.
Okay.
Then there's a section that deals specifically with rights, access rights, fishing rights, human rights, and then also to correct the imbalances, specifically referring to historical imbalances, human rights violations, and policies. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, policy people, you heard that, right? Government, you heard that, right? Would you like to, well, they have wanting to say something long ago. Would you like to, just a second, would you like to go next? We'll bring the microphone to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Our government group has put small-scale fisheries, friendly policies and the regulations in consultative manner. And we have put effective implementation of policies and regulation, government enabling environment, and facilitate access, funding allocations, inclusive research, infrastructures, awareness, popularization of existing policy framework, monitoring, control, and surveillance, appropriate fisheries technology, applied research and development, data collection tools aggregating by gender, sustainable blue economy, marine spatial planning, empowering small-scale fisheries, give power to local communities to participate in co-management. Thank you.
Wow, that's excellent. It looks like any government program that we love to read. But is there anything in particular you're going to put your money on right now? You start from the last one. You happy with what you heard?
Aggregated by gender.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Thank you very much. Now, NGOs, you also wanted to say something.
Thank you very much. Last but not least. No? Yeah, so actually, we see our role until the next Congress to continue supporting communities that are engaged in fishing activities like small-scale fishing, to support them technically, financially, and looking also at sustainable financing, respectively, exit strategies. So important is in our role to balance support to livelihood and to conservation. What we would also like to see is a regional network to be established to facilitate exchange and ensure inclusivity, that we are also having platforms to reflect the voices of fishermen, where also innovation can be shared and where strategic approaches can be discussed. Also, commemoration of important events like the small fisheries days should be continued and supported by CSOs. A very important aspect is also to understand aspects of blue justice, equity, and gender. So we see our role to document, share issues, and integrate into the blue economy narrative those aspects in order to kind of ensure that they are catered for, which we don't see at this point. So to continue, our role is also in the awareness creation, like in roadshows on blue economy and climate change, respectively, also other issues that are really out in the blue and are not very known even to our government officials. Thank you. So, actually, also, we would like to see, platforms where we can have opportunities or kind of exchange of not only the best practice, but also capitalize on what is best practice and the lessons learned and scale up and scale out. So we want to uplift best practice to policy level and reach out to further communities and, include more communities in the programs. Also important, very much flagged, to share those lessons learned from the best practices on, for example, the legal cases that South Africa has shared in the beginning. And the last suggestion was to also share more and facilitate exchange on the IUU and how to combat IUU systematically, probably through apps or whatever platforms that are feasible. We were stopped by the facilitators exploring this idea. So apologies. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Research. Oh, microphone, just wait. Researchers already writing in the PowerPoint, you can see. There's no big flip chart.
Yes. Well, very interesting, research. We need to make sure we get it right. And so we took time getting it right. So part of it is what I read out. We felt that we need to communicate more in the area of socio-ecological system, political governance, and the rest of them, the kind of thing TPTI is promoting, the V2V and the rest, so that more understanding of the context is very crucial. Then we also felt that we need to define what kind of change we want. People talk about change. Do we want change that transform the SSF to another scale? Or we want a change that keep the SSF in its characteristics and all of the properties of the SSF are retained. We're also looking at finding a way to do evaluation of all the important contribution of SSF, be it nutrition, be it just like the IHH stuff, the illuminating hidden harvest, a kind of communication into what is the value in terms of economics, in terms of dollars, euro, or rand. And then we're also thinking of valuation of those not apparent contribution of SSF, such as culture. What contribution does culture push? SSF push in the arena of culture. So, of course, we know that we must continue in the area of action research, participatory action research, and then find the means by which this is quickly communicated.
Okay.
Instead of the regular academic stuff, we must find a critical way where findings and our understandings of the community are quickly shared with the stakeholders. So we also think of trying to improve the understanding of non-fishers, be it government, whatever other stakeholder is, so that we begin to change the attitude from negativity to form of positivity.
Okay.
The media are very important. The kind of media advocacy, we will need to have a training curriculum developed to capture this very important. It's called the fourth realm of governance, so that they begin to communicate what we really want. We're also thinking that there's need to begin to do scenario modeling to kind of provide advice for different situations
Yeah.
as it may affect the small scale fisheries. So many, but these are just the highlight of what we have agreed on. Thank you.
That's great.
And then importantly, we feel a disciplinary, multidisciplinary center of excellence, very crucial,
Okay.
so that all of the real package that is centered on SSF should be developed across the continent. Thank
Center
you.
of Excellence for
Yes.
Small-Scale Fisheries. Yes. Oh, woo, thank you. Well, I hope you like what you heard. We don't have much time to go into details, but these will be captured and reported back to you so that way you can continue to polish it, think about it, take it further. What is really encouraging about this final round is that didn't happen just because we give you 20 minutes to think about. This happened because you have been thinking hard about it, even before you arrived, throughout your career, throughout your fishing life, throughout your government work and responsibility. So, and then, throughout these 3 days as well. So it's really important that things are coming together so nicely like this. And did you notice that there's a very active group of government policy people working really hard to populate that list for us. Same thing happening here with fisherwomen, fishermen, and other supporting group of fisheries, fishing people, putting hard, right? Thinking hard. We saw the youth, we saw the research, we saw NGOs, and also people online. See, it can happen. We all are leading by examples, with what we just did. So only when we put it together and really, commit to it and think hard and work together like this and share the ideas and be respectful with those ideas, we can make it happen. So I have a true privilege to be here with you. And it's been I come to Africa often, to many parts of Africa, not all of them yet. I know we couple, selections for possible sites for the future Congress. But, it's always been so encouraging every time I come to witness all the energy, all the passion, all your conviction and your commitment to support small-scale fisheries. So on behalf of the Too Big to Ignore Global, I'd like to thank you, everyone, for making the time and really contributing to good conversation that we have had in the past 3 years. So thanks to all of you and congratulations. Okay. There's a lot of people that have helped this possible. You have met all our volunteers. So, you might not know that, but because people like you make you said you would want to be here, and then we are doing our best to make this happen. And the organizing committee that put the program together, those who are not able to be here, you have seen them online. Faluke, Esther, Joseph, Jemima, Rashid, they have been behind the scene. But there's a lot of people with us today who have also done that. So I'd like them to stand up, and the gift would go to you, and a big round of applause would go to you as well. Shehu Akintula, Katrina, I don't know but Katrina's here. Motseki, maybe not here, but you have seen him. Ahmed Khan. What? He left? No, bring him back. Friday. Thank you. Thank you. Alu. Thank you, Alu. And last but not, of course, before I even go there, right, we have Angela, Carla. Those are people working behind the scene, and Ezra as well. And our 4 volunteers, Isaac, where are you? Isaac, Milena, thank you very much. Yinji, thank you. Okay. And the final, and then of course, Evan, and I'm running out of bag, but you are my bag to take home. So that's my gift, and that's our gift to each other, right? Now, Moniba, another bag for you, of course. Moniba, please, everyone. There's more chocolate. Okay, so Moniba, you have the last word.
Thank you, and how I like that to have the last word. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm not going to go to the stage. We started off this conference, and I'm going to go backwards to look at leadership and lead by example in terms of gender equity, community-led conservation, business and social innovation, climate-friendly food system, blue justice, action research. This is the Africa part of the Africa towards the Africa that we want. So these were the key themes we decided on. And it is interesting, Ratana, that 10 years ago, or more than 10 years ago, it was 5 themes. Actually, we had 6 themes now. So I think that, you know, there's a lot more that we could have done, but I think that post-COVID, having regional conferences, meeting face-to-face, meeting old friends and also new friends, and having the reality constantly in the meeting with community people adds really character and depth to the situation. So thank you, everyone. Finally, I want to kind of just thank our partners. First of all, it is almost the end of the year of the artisanal fisher and aquaculture. I don't know all the names. The year of artisanal fisheries and aquaculture. And I think that the end of the year is also part of the process of the decade of the ocean. So we're not going to stop here. And I think that we mustn't allow that it's just going to be signs. Small-scale fisheries must be part of the decade of oceans that we want to see. I think that is very important. And I'm sure Lena and her colleagues will make sure that is part of the agenda, that small-scale fisheries is part of that. So thank you, FAO. I want to thank the African Development Bank. I don't know if they are still here. I'm not going to ask any more questions around financialization. So they can come back. Of course, Oak Foundation, thank you very much. Imani, you've been really gracious and holding yourself in and not asking questions and observing, and really lovely to have you part of this. Sadek Motseke, thank you very much for your contribution. WWF brought a whole team of people to the conference, and thank you very much for that. That was incredibly valuable. Our partner, Vulnerability to Viability, also brought teams of people here. Thank you very much for your contribution. These were our partners, but I think it's also important that they are also in our midst. Is also one of the founding fathers of Too Big to Ignore. He spoke about co-management that he developed and thought about in the 1980s already. So we're talking about over 40 years of rich heritage and intellect that is there. I want to close by saying, it is not only about the good story that we need to tell. We also need to critically engage with the processes, and we also need to have critical scholarship. I think the continent is in need of critical scholarship, because across the continent, critical scholars are being silenced. And I think it is very important that we contribute to critical scholarship. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Have a safe travels back home, close, near, and far. And thank you for coming. Thank you, all the fisher women from across the continent and also from South Africa for coming here, and other fishers. Thank you very much.